You're joking. Not another one?
Last year was an amazing year for me when I made my videos talking about the bosses of Metal Gear Rising, and I'm not gonna lie, I wish I could go back and fix some issues, like some of the audio problems, or me doing that stupid voice for the first bosses video. People keep commenting about that. But I really wanted to take some time and go back to the game and talk about its music. Now, I'm not a musical analyst, but I did touch on the music a little bit in my videos when I talked about the bosses, but I really wanted to do a more deep dive into the music since it can be quite enthralling when you break it down. So, hello, I'm MangaKamen, and this is the brilliance of the Metal Gear Rising music. Let her rip! But before we can actually discuss the music, we should probably give credit to the guy who was behind it, Jamie Christopherson. Funnily enough, when he was brought into the project, he had little experience making heavy metal music, especially with Platinum Games throwing out stuff from the 80s and 90s. Christopherson took that and suggested a lot of electronic elements. It was actually a push and pull situation where Christopherson had to try to keep pushing to get more futuristic elements into the music as well. This was mostly due to the fact that he wasn't exactly all that experienced with that type of music, especially for a full-on score. It's why he also got help of Logan Mader, the former guitarist for Machine Head, who then became a co-writer for the songs, and the choice for real heavy metal guitar riffs and drums were used to maintain the vibe. When Christopherson didn't actually have a lot of experience in making the full track for this genre music, his agent apparently just sent his music and he had no idea how he got the job.
Just a call kind of came in one day, like, hey, do you know how to write rock music? Like, there's this trailer that came in for this game. And I was like, you know, the standard response from any composer is, yeah. And then you figure out how to do it. In this case, people think that I never wrote any rock or heavy metal before Metal Gear Rising. And to an extent, it's true that I didn't write metal per se, but I did write rock and hard rock. Like, I was in some rock bands growing up, and like I said, my dad was a rock and roll bass player, so it's kind of you know, it was kind of in my blood.
And I think it's important to highlight a quote from this interview from Christopherson when he was asked about how important it was to compose music for the games as opposed for film and television. While they share many components, music is music, but games are different because of their interactivity. The best music is the kind that adapts correctly to the environment and gives the player feedback. It's always doing something to enhance the gameplay. That's how it sets itself apart. And I think that's key to how music can really speak to people, and how Metal Gear Rising can have a lot of impact with its music. It also helps with how people perceive the game as well. With great music, especially through the boss fights, they make the game's action set pieces a lot more memorable. And unlike, say, a movie or TV show, since you're actively playing with the game and have control of the situation, it sticks more. If you're an active player in a situation, it's going to be a lot more memorable if you're doing something while something else is playing. It really sticks with you. So if you're slicing Monsoon into several pieces of chunky salsa and you hear... it just sends shivers down your spine, and that feeling sticks with you. Of course, the music in and of itself is what's really important, and now we're going to talk about the tracks. Obviously, when you talk about Metal Gear Rising, the most iconic parts of the game are the boss fights. And here's the thing about the boss music tracks. You know how we have this very iconic scene?
Stop that playing!
You notice that right when those lyrics were brought up into the fight, that's when you really get pulled into the game. The immersion just reaches out of the screen and pulls you into the fight. You don't care that you're doing a QTE, you just feel that rush of adrenaline coursing through your veins and wanting to give your all. You know how some snooty gaming YouTuber who likes to throw around words like immersion?
He said it! He said it!
That's how you do it. That's how you really get your players hooked, and it's a psychological experience. Now, this is the point where your average hoity-toity I'm better than you YouTuber would probably put on his goofy outfit, turn on his camera, and tell you that the music plays a major role in creating the mood of a video game. They would probably say that it can be used to convey a certain atmosphere or emotion, such as excitement or tension, and help immerse the player into the game world. It can be used to mark key moments or help orient the player in its progress. You know, pulling with the first Google search result in order to make you guys think that us YouTubers are smarter than we actually are. I mean, it's better than doing no actual research.
And this is what I like to call the Nintendo shit cube.
This sort of thing is what we refer to when we talk about immersion, as the music. A lot of music is used to help with mood and atmosphere. And when you got a video games interactivity, most of the time players aren't going to be stopping to listen to the tunes. Nah, we're too busy slicing and dicing people to stop. It's adrenaline. It's a means to really push the players in doing what they want, and this was done on purpose with the programming of the music in the game.
Their internal sound team, and I believe they're using WY's game engine, which is like a middle software audio tool for people to use in game development. And they're all given the credit for when, rules of nature kicks in, like when the sword is coming down. Like, that's all them. I didn't code that myself. They coded that internally. They had like my access to a ton of my stems, so they could build fuller song arrangements and when to trigger things.
I like to think that a lot of games will utilize this aspect of music for their action scenes. I'm sure a lot of people remember something like, say, Pokemon. How in Pokemon, like in Black and White, when you're fighting a gym leader in that generation, you get to their last Pokemon, you get this. The music shifts to a remix of the original theme. Sure, looking on screen, you got a couple of moving sprites tossing pixelated attacks at each other, but when you're holding onto the DS and you reach this point when you're playing the battle, you can't help but feel pumped. It's an element of gaming that a lot of people miss when they're not actually playing the games, and instead they elect to watch the materials on YouTube or something. It doesn't have that same oomph. So when you see Raiden catching Metal Gear Ray's blade, yeah, that's a cool scene, no doubt about that. But when you're the one holding the controller, you're the one pushing the buttons, you're the one who's about to toss Ray through the air, and then you get this. Playing as you hear the music, it just pushes you into the scene. And this is something that Metal Gear Rising does really consistent with its music, with notable exception of one guy. That while you have mostly instrumental tracks playing in the background during your fights, when the lyrics start to play, that's when you realize that things are about to get serious, and you're pumped to finish these bosses off. This is an effect I like to call dynamic music. Original, I know! Give me money! But this is the effect of the game music when tailored to represent what's happening in it, and it's not just done with lyrics introduced. Keeping with the Metal Gear Ray boss fight, notice the music shift when you enter Blade mode to attack Ray here. Did you notice that instead of the usual chorus tracks that were playing beforehand, the music immediately changed to a much more calm, if not lively portion of the song? Almost as if to symbolize that Raiden was focusing on his slashes, and the music was playing along with the action. And this isn't the only time this is done. Consider the boss fight with Armstrong. At one point in this marvelous final boss fight, which if you want more details about, some dork made a pretty good video detailing that. Maybe go check that out after this video. Maybe, I don't know, only if you're cool. You're cool, right? Anyway, at a few points, Armstrong will jump on top of some debris, beginning to throw chunks of it at you. Notice how the music changes slightly. You can obviously tell that the music becomes muffled and less distracting since this is a portion of the boss fight where you have to do precision cutting with your blade mode, and you can't just rely on the automatic slashes, so the music is toned down for that element. One of the things about music, and this goes for all mediums, is when not to use it. If you had really loud, pumping music like this, and a song is kick-ass as it has to be this way playing while doing this, and the lyrics started up, it might distract the player from performing these precise slashes, especially if they're getting the adrenaline going. A branch of this also pertains to the lyrics. Both Senator Armstrong and Jetstream Sam's boss fights play with the lyrics, and when they don't play the lyrics. Sam's boss fight is rather unique from the other boss fights since his music starts off with his lyrics playing when you're actually in his fight, and when you knock his sword from his hands, the lyrics stop. Now, I've talked about this fight in depth before a few times, and I brought up this fact, so not to fully repeat myself, again, it to me symbolizes that Sam himself isn't really in the best mindset to fight Raiden, mainly that he feels more alive when he's got his sword and is fighting against a worthy opponent. However, a similar effect is done in Armstrong's boss battle. Only the effect is done whenever the sword that Raiden uses isn't in contact with either participant. To me, when the lyrics are used in this fight, it's because Armstrong acknowledges Raiden as a worthy opponent, and when Raiden doesn't have his sword, the tool that can be used to actually kill Armstrong, Raiden isn't at his greatest. The lyrics in and of themselves express how the fight the two combatants are in. Now, a lot of that is up to interpretation, and it won't be the last time that we dip our toes in the interpretation pool. Hell, the next section we'll be doing that right then and there as we go through each song and how they tie into the bosses and their core theme. But my point is that this is just my interpretation of the musical elements of the game, and a lot of it comes from my own experiences, and that's what a lot of game analysis is, interpretation. So you may come to a different conclusion than what I will in this video. That doesn't mean I'm right, and that doesn't mean you're wrong, even though it's clear that I'm the one on the right. Interpretation of something as subjective music will be different from person to person, and I'm paid to give you guys my opinion, so if you disagree with what I say, that's perfectly fine. Besides, I'm not a music major. I majored in political science, pre-law, business, and sequential art. One of these things is not like the other. Now on to the actual songs and their symbolism with the bosses. Metal Gear Rising's bosses have a lot of great elements to them, and the music in and of itself can attest to that. I covered a lot of these other elements briefly in my videos, and I'm going to try my best not to repeat myself from my original videos, but forgive me if I do say something that sounds familiar. So let's go in order, starting with Rules of Nature.
Not yet, boy.
Frankly, one of the biggest aspects of this song and fight is that it has the theme of survival of the fittest, and how it be applicable to the combatants, with Raiden being the prey to the predator that is Rei. Immersion. However, one can interpret the song, especially with those lyrics, of a predator on the verge of death, close to its last breath, as a means of how combat has evolved throughout the years of Metal Gear Rising's universe. If you know anything about the Metal Gear Solid series, you should be acquainted with this line.
War has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines.
How wars are fought is a constant change in the Metal Gear universe, with a good portion of the combatants, at least in the Rising times, being basically replaced by cyborgs. It's why you can basically slice and dice people and rip out their spines to heal yourself in the game. And this isn't the only element to it. We only need to look back at Metal Gear Solid 3 and your conversation with Granin.
Tank does not need a rocket. It needs something else. Look at these.
Nice shoes.
No. Legs. Legs that allow it to go anywhere. Just as when humans learn to walk upright. That is the real revolution in weaponry. Don't you agree?
You're crocked, aren't you?
You see, cyborgs are the way of the future of combat instead of Metal Gear Ray. This mirrors the change in warfare that we see in Metal Gear Rising, where we see tons of cyborgs where they replace the giant unarmed weapons like Ray. even though they were at the core of strategy only a few years ago in-universe. One could even say that this is foreshadowing as well, considering that the beginning of the game, Raiden's own cyborg body isn't exactly the most up-to-date. Sure, he can topple Metal Gear Ray quite easily, but this smug bastard?
Let's give him a hand!
I do want to touch on one quick element of this fight against Sam, and that's because throughout this fight, we get the song The Only Thing I Know for Real, but it's only instrumental. No lyrics throughout the fight, and that to me says that Sam doesn't see Raiden as a worthy opponent for his sword. It's in the same vein as when you fight Sam again and you disarm him. At this point, he doesn't see Raiden as a worthy foe. It's why Sam plays with Raiden and toys with the cyborg until he's ready to get things done. Next up, we have... I'm My Own Master Now. The song, along with being one of my favorite tracks, also represents Wolf's yearning to be free. If you played the DLC or listened to Wolf throughout the game, you learned that he as an AI has no actual free will of his own, and should he disobey orders, his memories, everything that makes him who he is, would be deleted. Funnily enough, the next character's theme that we'll be talking about is the character that locked up Blade Wolf and used him, ready to throw him away at a moment's whim.
You deceived me.
Such a mighty intellect indeed.
Then I have lost.
Shake. Shake.
Extreme close-up!
A Stranger I Remain is Mistral's theme, and one that fits her character to a T, as we learn more about the character and see that she only feels alive when she's on the battlefield, fighting for a cause that she believes in. And after meeting a certain someone, she finally found her cause. To point out a few fun aspects about this song, there's actually a few lyrics that are sung in French, and Mistral is part French, so it adds a much more personal touch with the character. And the second is that there was another version of the song, and one that wasn't used in the game. So you can get into the bare knuckle brawl with me in the comments if you want, whether or not I should be talking about this, but this song has additional lyrics that help flesh out Mistral's backstory and actually do tie in really nicely, and it's my video, so I get to decide that.
Don't let me become the one you love, 'cause I'll just take your pride and use you up.
It shows more that Mistral's past, one filled with war and bloodshed, has left her with only one real way with interacting with others, in a destructive way, and any form of redemption for her is nothing but a fleeting dream. It's a shame this version wasn't in the game, since it ties very nicely with Mistral's characterization. Next up, we have the one, the only, Monsoon in the Stains of Time.
Means the DNA of the soul.
A very fast-paced song that represents that there is a rain that washes away the pain to lead people to a peaceful day, but for a certain man, it has no effect. Now, whether this refers to Monsoon or Raiden, that's up to your interpretation. However, it ties into the whole speech that Monsoon gives Raiden before their
Expose someone to anger long enough, they turn to hate. They become a carrier. Envy, greed, despair, remains of basketball. How about foolish shit? Is that a meme?
Monsoon is a character who's a nihilist, so he views things such as free will to be a myth. And in turn, because of all the fighting that he has done throughout his life, he doesn't see any reason for fighting for something greater than just to fight itself. He believes only in violence, and that it's ingrained in humanity's very core. It's a good reflection of a man who's dead on the inside, and only fights because he believes that all humans are good for is violence. Granted, if you manage to fight Monsoon without taking a single hit,
You're dead! Get off! No! No, please don't kill me, please! No, I don't want to die! Please don't kill me! Please don't!
you see a single spark of humanity within the guy. It's abject fear that he couldn't do a damn thing to Raiden, but it's still humanity, which is a good tie into our next song.
Oh, you're saying, give war a chance.
No, unacceptable.
Red Sun. Red Sun over Paradise. Red Sun. Red Sun over Paradise. There's a lot that people can attribute this song to about Sundowner, the Alabama man. For fun, let's consider these lyrics in relationship to Sundowner himself. Some interpretations for this represent Sundowner's transformation from a man to cyborg. For those not in the know, before Sundowner got a cyborg body, he got hit by an IED. This could be a means of Sundowner becoming more of a machine of war and less of a man, with all of life becoming his prey, not caring about the people who use him as weapons are essentially vultures who manage to profit off his actions. And Sundowner loves it. From his point of view, he isn't sick in the head, he just sees what he does as pure. Sundowner has a philosophy about humans and how he believes that through violence and war, people are returning to their natural states.
And kids are cruel. All people are by nature. They just lose touch with it as they get older. Start thinking they know right and wrong. That's immoral. War crime this, code of conduct that. Kids, you can mold, manipulate into performing all kinds of atrocities. And there's nothing like a good atrocity to keep a war going.
Either that or is a big nut bar. Now, we've already talked a fair bit about Sam's theme, so let's move on to Armstrong's 2 theme. Yep, he's got 2. He's that big of a Chad. Although the first one, Collective Consciousness, can also cover that of Metal Gear Excelsis, but considering that this song plays during the Jetstream Sam DLC where you fight Armstrong in that, you can still consider this to be the big man's theme. Now, if you know anything about Senator Armstrong, and why shouldn't you, since there's a fantastic essay talking about Armstrong's beliefs, you know, that he hates something that is kind of endemic of our own culture today.
Fuck all these lunatic lawyers and chicken shit bureaucrats! Fuck this 24/7 internet spew of trivia and celebrity bullshit! Fuck American pride! Fuck the media! Fuck all of it!
Let's face it, we live in a time where we as a people live in countless echo chambers. Gotta toe that party line, gotta agree with the color that we display. Well, screw that, I don't bleed red or blue, I bleed Armstrong! This song shows Armstrong's desire to rebuild America in his own image, where the strong prosper and the weak are purged, with the current system making everyone a slave to the current status quo. Note, MangaKamen does not agree with the views of Armstrong, he's just a dumb YouTuber who likes talking about Armstrong. Every day, people are used by corrupt politicians and chicken shit bureaucrats, letting those who aren't as fortunate to be sacrificed for the fat cats. And the saddest part is those who support those corrupt individuals don't even realize they're just being used to fill the pockets of these monsters. They just smile, nod, and clap, all the while throwing money at these people who don't do anything to really help other than just reaffirm their views. Whoops, got a little philosophical there, didn't I? Did this YouTuber just dip his toe in political commentary? You be the judge. But I don't really care. What we do care about, though, is the iconic song of Armstrong.
No, not yet, boy.
Oh yeah, this is the song that everyone knows, that everyone loves to use for memes. It has to be this way. And I can't really blame them. It's arguably one of the best songs in Metal Gear Rising, and one that is representative of not only Armstrong, but Raiden himself. Which, if you were to ask me, and why wouldn't you since you're watching my video and have made it this far, it's probably the best way to have a finale for a game, to have the music be representative of both forces in the final battle.
Okay, now! Do what I told you, go!
The lyrics almost make it an apologetic endeavor that the two have to fight each other, as they're not fighting on their own accord, but for the morals that they hold. That Raiden and Armstrong recognize there are similarities in their personal philosophies and how they're willing to use force to fulfill their morals. But their morals force them to fight each other. After all, to them, might makes right, and whoever wins will decide the path the world will take. On a side note, this song is also a remix of Peace Walker's theme. There's also Cam Sim's theme, The Hot Wind Blowing. At first, this song seemed to be nothing but a waste, since it wasn't in the main game. However, when Blade Wolf's DLC came out, and this song was used for the boss, it was a perfect fit for the self-proclaimed Wind of Destruction, and it does a great job of showcasing Cam Sin's mindset. No matter how much blood is spilled, Cam Sin believes that he can bring freedom no matter the cost. He's a soldier, after all, with a noble cause. How'd that end up for you, Cam Sin?
That's gotta hurt!
There's one more song I really want to focus on for the finale of this video, and it's one I skipped out in my original videos because it isn't affiliated with any of the bosses. Instead, it's the end credit theme. The war still rages within.
Down on the cars on the highway, the stream of taillights, everybody advancing together, do so willingly sacrifice rights. When people accept their cogs in the system, give up free will, conform, individual pieces that swirl together and become a force storm. Looking down on the burgeoning city, the skyscrapers rise, even men with the greatest intentions stop believing their own lives. We can borrow from the future, but eventually someone's got to pay.
Quite the big contrast, isn't it? With Metal Gear Rising, it has a ton of fast pace and overly action-oriented songs to help with the set pieces and bosses, and meanwhile, this isn't exactly what I'd call calm. It is a fair bit calmer than the music that we've had throughout the game, and even in this video too. Now, this could have been done on purpose, with this song being a lot more calm in comparison to the rest of the tracks. Because if you really think about it, throughout the game, most of the time we're battling, where we don't have time to make decisions or question what we're doing. Like how our busy life forces us to move, and with a lack of time to make decisions and not question our actions, the low value of decisions made for personal gain becomes a reality. Day after day, the cycle continues.
The only way out of the cycle is to strike out and pave your own way. We all fight our own fight. Will you fuel the desire when always struggling with the truth of the life that might have been? But no matter how jagged your path is, you'll always come back to the road. When the dust of the battle settles, the war still rages within.
However, there's a way to break the cycle. To escape it is to strike out on your own, free to pursue your own ideals, taking risks and, living. Even if you're working in the system, there's a message that you shouldn't surrender to the machine. There's always hope, and as long as you're aware of the world and can make your own decisions correctly, you'll always have that choice. The world keeps turning and turning, and you gotta move along with it and not give up that little hope, even if you're just a cog in the machine. Granted, this is just one YouTuber's interpretation with a lot of these songs, and frankly, I find all the music in Metal Gear Rising to be a lot more impactful than a lot of people give it credit for. Which is sad, because if it wasn't for that surge of YouTube videos that came out a while ago, most people would just see this game as the goofy sword-wielding, slicing and dicing meme generator that a lot of people on the internet paint it as. And some people still do that. They see it as the black sheep of the Metal Gear games, which to me is a shame because there's a lot more to the game than what people give credit to. Not help that a lot of people milked the game for all it was worth on YouTube, but here I am about a year or so later since that trend, and I'm still making content talking about this iconic game and how I still love it, and even after a whole decade since the game came out, because the game really resonated with me. It spoke to me about 10 years ago when I played it the first time. It spoke to me this year when I played it for fun on my own. And every time I pick up the controller and put my disc in the PS3 or boot up on my PC, I'm reminded that I love this game, and I will never stop singing its praises. Despite what people on X think, and I've never touched this game before in my life. But what do you guys think? Do you think I'm overthinking this game and its music, or Do you agree with me? If you want to see more videos like this, please consider liking, subscribing, and if you want to support the channel, you can always join as a membership, support me on Ko-Fi or Patreon. The money I make from this channel and as such go in to help make the channel grow, and I really hope we can reach 200k subscribers by the end of the year. I really appreciate everyone watching this video. So, if you can also share the video, that works too. But just by watching the video to this point, you've made me so happy. And if you could leave a like, that'd make me even happier. I'm MangaKamen. Thanks for watching, and remember,